Imagine a 13th century poet speaking directly to us across the centuries. Rumi, Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi, was born in 1207 in Balkh, in today's Afghanistan, to a family of scholars. Fleeing Genghis Khan's invasions, his family traveled over 2,000 miles to settle in Konya, modern Turkey, where Rumi grew up steeped in Islamic learning. He once wrote, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form," words that still comfort readers today. By the end of the Middle Ages, Rumi had become known as Mevlana, our master, and after his death in 1273 his followers formed the Mevlevi, whirling dervish, order in his honor. Rumi's father, Baha al-Din Walad, was a respected theologian and teacher. Followers called him the Sultan of the Scholars. When Rumi was a boy, around 1218, his family fled the Mongol advance, eventually reaching Anatolia under the Seljuk Turks. They settled in Konya, where Rumi absorbed both religious scholarship and the Sufi mystic traditions of the region. He married and had children, and after his father's death in 1231, Rumi took over his teaching position at a local madrasa school. Thus was laid the foundation of a life that would blend rigorous learning with profound spirituality. The decisive turning point in Rumi's life came in 1244 when he encountered Shams al-Din of Tabriz, a wandering dervish with an intense love of God. Rumi was 37. Shams challenged Rumi's scholarly approach and taught him the importance of direct spiritual experience. For years they spent every day together. Rumi's poetry took on a new passion. But in late 1248 Shams abruptly disappeared, believed to have been driven away or even murdered by jealous disciples, leaving Rumi heartbroken. In his grief, Rumi poured out his soul in poetry. Over 40,000 verses of ghazals and quatrains are said to reflect his longing for the beloved Shams. These lyrics were later collected as the Divan-e-Shams-e Tabrizi, works of Shams of Tabriz, one of the great masterpieces of Persian literature. After Shams's disappearance, Rumi also produced his lifelong magnum opus, the Masnavi-e-Manavi or spiritual couplets. Over about 12 years, starting in 1262, Rumi dictated 6 volumes, 64,000 lines, of mystical poetry to a scribe. He famously described the Masnavi as the roots of Islamic religion. In it he taught through stories and metaphors about divine love, moral virtue, and self-knowledge. Rumi's poetry is surprisingly accessible. It uses vivid, simple imagery and often speaks directly in the second person, as if he's whispering to the reader. For example, one of his most quoted lines is, "What you seek is seeking you." This phrase, from a short poem, suggests that our deepest longings reflect an inner truth. Another well-known couplet reads, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." These lines even appeared on a New York City subway poster, part of the MTA's Poetry in Motion program. Rumi's words often counsel love and patience. He wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." His insight was grounded in faith. As Rumi himself put it, "I am the slave of the Quran and dust under the feet of Muhammad, peace be upon him." These lines remind us that, to Rumi, the journey of love was ultimately a spiritual one. Rumi's verses still turn up in unexpected places. His poetry, often translated by scholars like A.J. Arbery and popularized by English-language poets like Coleman Barks, speaks of timeless themes. Readers today find his optimism and emphasis on unity uplifting. In Rumi's view, love bridges humans and the divine, and he celebrated the attainment of union. Even if we approach his work without knowing Persian or the Sufi background, many of his lines feel like personal advice or meditation prompts in our own lives. Rumi died in Konya on December 17, 1273, and was buried next to his father under the Green Dome, Yeşil Türbe, which now attracts thousands of visitors annually. After his death, his followers organized themselves into the Mawluriya, Mevlevi, order. The famed, whirling dervishes of Konya still perform the semi-ceremony, a sacred spinning dance, in his memory, embodying the spiritual ascent that Rumi taught. Over the centuries, Rumi's influence spread far beyond Anatolia. Because he wrote in Persian but also incorporated Arabic and a bit of Turkish, both Iran and Turkey claim him as a literary treasure. His impact on the wider Muslim world is undeniable. Classic Persian and Arabic scholars have long revered Rumi's Masnavi and lyrics as high spiritual literature. In the modern era, his popularity exploded globally. Translations of his work by Western poets and scholars have made Rumi one of the world's most popular poets. UNESCO even declared 2007 the year of Rumi to celebrate his legacy. Today Rumi's quotes pop up in books, social media, and art worldwide, showing how this medieval mystic still resonates. As one scholar notes, Rumi's use of everyday images and direct address lets readers of any era feel he is speaking to them personally. Rumi's life reminds us that wisdom often comes from unexpected meetings and that love can transcend all barriers. For over 800 years, his message of inner knowledge, tolerance, and divine love has persisted. If you enjoyed this look at Rumi's journey, subscribe to Chronicle Crafter for more fascinating stories from history. And now, I want to hear from you. Which of Rumi's teachings speaks most to you today, and why? Share your thoughts below. There's a field beyond right and wrong waiting for your voice.